voters register. Abia youths charged to shun electoral violence. And on the foreign scene, experts welcome US president's plan to eliminate HIV. Details shortly. We begin this evening by letting you know that the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is threatening to pull out from the National Peace Accord as it equally condemned the purported statement made by the governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai. Disclosing this in a statement, the National Publicity Secretary and Director of Media and Publicity, PDP Presidential Campaign Organization, Kola Olubundiyon, averred that after due consideration of comments, threats, and incendiary actions by the All Progressives Congress APC and the Buhari presidency, the party has no other option than to consider a review of this signatory in the National Peace Accord if no action is immediately taken to curb this trend. He called on international community to impose a travel ban on El-Rufai for these inciting comments against peaceful elections in our country. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, is promising to end insecurity in Nigeria if elected into office. Addressing a crowd of supporters in Taraba State during the presidential campaign rally of the party, he assured them of a peaceful commitment to service and power supply.
We will address the issue of insecurity in Taraba, in Northeast, and Nigeria in general. This is the commitment I have made to people of Taraba, of the whole of this country. Number two, I want to promise you that the much-awaited Mambila hydroelectric power, we will complete it.
The party's national chairman, Uche Secondus, urged INEC to ensure a peaceful, free, and fair election.
INEC, be careful. You are quick to respond. You are quick to explain. That is a huge trick. We will continue to hammer that this one important election in the history of our country that cannot be rigged.
Ahead of the forthcoming general election, the chairman populist for election reform, Ezenwa says most of the political campaigns are vague. Speaking in Abuja, Nwagu decried the inability of politicians to present to the electorate a clear objective of what they aim to achieve if elected into power, that it is the reason failure remains the fountain of promise into coming to office.
That sovereignty belongs to the people, and that means the government derives the authority and power exercised over us through that power given by the people through the Constitution. So they are expected to deliver. But we have not been demanding that they deliver. And that is why, by default, failure has even become a fountain of promise into coming to office.
He maintained that politicians should clearly detect their narratives before coming into power. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmood Yakubu, is allaying the concerns of illegal aliens voting in the polls. In an interview, the INEC boss noted that over 10,000 permanent voter cards belonging to illegal aliens have been expunged from the voters' register.
As with the Nigerian Immigration Service, and they have done a fantastic job in confiscating cards, whether they are TVCs or PVCs, from aliens who registered. Remember, the law says that only Nigerians are entitled to register and to vote in our election. I think now we have well over 1,000. The last batch they submitted was well over 600.
It's in our
aliens who registered.
He further stressed that voters' register is clear enough for a creditable process.
So yes, I must say that INEC has never claimed that the voter register is perfect, but it's robust, and there is a mechanism for cleaning up the register, and we'll continue to take further steps to ensure that we clean up the register, including what we did recently.
The resident electoral commissioner for Abia State, Joseph Ilo, is assuring youth in the state that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will do everything in its power to ensure that the forthcoming elections are credible and violence-free. Ilo, who made the assurance while speaking to a group of youth during a peace walk tagged "Vote, Not Fight, Election No Be War" in Umuahia in commemoration of the National Day of Action, urged the youths to shun all forms of violence during and after the election.
The INEC team, Abia, will not lead Abia State to electoral violence. We will not do things that will cause problems in the society. We will not conduct a type of election that will create anarchy, that will create arson, destruction of lives and property. We shall conduct a free, fair, credible, and peaceful election in Abia State.
Speaking to Flow FM, the spokesperson for the group, Adebayo Kings, said that the walk was organized to sensitize the youth of Umuahia on the need to shun election violence.
The essence of this particular rally is to make sure that we sensitize the youth of Abia State and also Nigeria, that's nationwide, because as it's going on here, it's also going on across the nation. Lagos, Jos, Abuja, and the likes will be joining in. So the major aim is to sensitize the youth to shun violence once it comes to election, not to be used as a tool during election or to perpetuate violence during election.
In a similar development, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is urging students to resist the temptation of being used by some politicians to cause violence during the forthcoming general elections. The head of voter education, INEC, Abia State, Godwin Achibie, made the appeal during an interactive session with some students at Michael Okpara University, Umudike.
One of the main reasons for this interactive session is to appeal very passionately to you students to conduct yourself in good manners in the elections. The elections will be conducted according to rules and regulations governing the elections. Please do not allow yourself to be used for thuggery. We are not happy that youth are easily manipulated by politicians with token money. There are reports of tearing of posters and pulling down of billboards by agents of politicians. This must stop.
Some of the students who participated in the forum charged INEC to ensure the security of voters during the election.
I'm very much happy also that INEC have deemed it so fit to visit various institutions in our country to enlighten us about this forthcoming election. So I'm very happy about that. Because I believe that this election, or losing our lives, or being engaged in election malpractices, it doesn't worth our life, because I believe it can lead to loss of lives.
I pray it works according to what INEC tells us, that they are ready to make sure that this election goes on peaceful and non-violent.
Ahead of tomorrow's crucial meeting between the federal government and the striking members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, there are fears that many of the students who registered in their various institutions may be disenfranchised in the forthcoming general elections. Some of the students who spoke to Flow FM News lamented that the continued strike is affecting them and appealed to INEC to extend the date for collection of PVCs pending the outcome of tomorrow's meeting.
Most of the students are not happy also. Most of them are in their houses and they are tired. They pray to resume school. And most of them, their polling units are here. Some of them have not collected their PVCs as a result of distance.
And I don't think that most of us can, travel from places like from Lagos, Aba, to down to school just to vote, because we are students, we don't work.
If finally they suspend the strike, INEC should at least extend the date of collection.
Tomorrow's meeting between the two parties will be the 10th time since November 4th, when ASU embarked on strike to protest neglect of the education sector. Ahead of next week's general election, Non-Executive Director, Rural Electrification Agency, Max Solomon Alozie, is predicting that Nigerians will massively support President Muhammadu Buhari during the forthcoming presidential election. Addressing newsmen in Umuahia, Alozie pointed out that with the way individuals, groups, and organizations are endorsing the president, it's just a matter of days before the entire nation would troop out en masse in support of his re-election bid. He reiterated the need for those who had not obtained their permanent voting cards, PVCs, to do so before the closing date, assuring that the election will end most of the challenges facing the nation. News now on Flow 94.9 FM continues shortly with business, foreign and sports news. Do stay tuned.